In this episode of American Greed.
He calls himself Yandere, but he's nothing more than a spaghetti code writer of a twisted yet interesting video game. Here's a tale of how one man with an idea born from 4chan went from zero to a profiting and greedy schemer. Not only that, but he's got an army of defenders at his beck and call. This is the story of Yandere. I will honestly be shocked if the whole thing with Yandere doesn't end up on the TV show American Greed, if not in like 2 or 3 years. Yandere Simulator has been in development for 4 years. Out of those 4 years, Yandere has been using funds from his Patreon to sustain himself and his lifestyle while he works very hard independently on his game. Mind you that for the past 4 years, he has been making at least $3,000 a month, give or take a month or two. $3,000. At least. I know right now it's at $4,000, but I'm just gonna give him a nice ballpark and say he didn't start at $4,000. Yandere then claims that he is overworked and basically cries his woes to his large fan base about not having any time to do anything else. Of course, his fans tell him he needs to take a break. So being the good independent game developer he is, Yandere starts playing video games. But of course, he wants an audience to see him play so he can keep them interested in not only him, but also whatever he does with the game. So whenever he does update the game, the fans say he is working so hard while still finding time to entertain them with his longer video game streamings. So then he starts streaming popular video games on Twitch and thus ends up making more money on top of his Patreon. Oh, and let's not forget his merchandise. The final proof of evidence for Yandere's exploits is as follows. Once he has finished Osana, he claims the game will be largely bug-free and have several more components added to it. He claims that this will be the game's true demo and it will no longer be just an Easter egg sandbox. With this completed demo, he will then start a Kickstarter for the rest of the money needed to develop the rest of the game. Seriously? A Kickstarter to promote the game that has already been promoted for 4 years. This dude is making over $4,000 a month and has been making close to that amount for just over 4 years and claims that he will start a Kickstarter to make the funds needed for him to finish the game. Why not just make the demo, then have it be the only thing people can play until the rest of the game is finished? Which, according to Yandere himself, will be much easier to do since Osana is like the game's first boss, and he can program the rest of the rivals easier since he can follow the same coding. That's all well and good and all, but I have my theory on what Yandere will do if a Kickstarter is funded. A theory about not a game, but a game developer. I guess we'll just go ahead and call this a dev theory. Side note, I have nothing to do with game theory, please don't sue me, MatPat. But my theory is simple. Yandere will take the money from the Kickstarter, take the demo of Yandere Simulator to a game company, and just sell them the idea and most of the rights. Thus, he will pocket the Kickstarter money and get money from selling the game. Once again, he also has merchandise too. But, like I said, it's just a theory. A dev theory. Okay, once again, I'm sorry. Don't sue me, game theory people. I'm just an android that lives in a gutter. But in all honesty, folks, as someone who was once a fan of watching this roller coaster of a game get developed, I feel had and used. Hopefully others wisen up to Yandere's shenanigans and that they start dropping out of his Patreon. Once he sees his assets starting to shrink, maybe that will be the kick in the pants Yandere needs to start getting serious about his work. In the meantime, thank you for watching. This is Gutterwave, and if you don't like what I have to say, get out of my gutter.